Mr. Milholland, you've been a good witness to us a couple of times. You provide a lot of candor. My question is, why did we have to subpoena you this time to attend?
That was a decision of the commissioner, and he wanted to testify himself. I understand the reasoning. He didn't speak to me about it, but in his past, he thinks that political appointees should be the one that speak to the Congress, not careerists like me.
Were you willing to testify without a subpoena?
Yes, sir.
This is something we're going to have to continue to discuss because, on one hand, in another committee, the IRS commissioner said he was too busy. He didn't have time to prepare, couldn't show up to answer hard questions. And then we have a hearing here where we have to dive deep into how the IT systems are working, and he is begging to come. In fact, told our office that we have to issue a subpoena to have Mr. Milholland come here. I think it puts a bad light on the IRS. I think it puts a bad light on you personally. But I did want to clarify and appreciate your candor in saying that was totally and wholly unnecessary. We did it. It's paperwork. I can do it unilaterally, but I shouldn't have to do it. And nobody else required a subpoena to be here. And again, it's not a personal reflection on you, but I think it is a personal reflection on Mr. Koskinen and the ridiculous manner in which he tries to manage a 90,000-person organization. The Congress of the United States of America, and certainly the Oversight Committee, we can talk to anybody anytime, we can investigate anything anywhere, and we can call anybody we want before this committee, not just the Senate-confirmed IRS commissioner. It is arrogant, it is beyond belief, and it continues to thwart our activities here in Congress. And I am not letting go of this. I do think he should be impeached. I do think he should get out of government. He should do the right thing for this country, and somebody else should be at the helm. He was hired by the President with the best of intentions, and the President made a personal commitment. He made a personal commitment. We're going to work together. We're going to do this hand in hand, and that is not happening, and this is another example here today. Enough of that speech about that. I do want to talk about the Obamacare files that were mentioned before. Mr. Pounder, do you have a position on this? Have you looked at how, from the GAO perspective, on how this is going? This is a massive undertaking, a great vulnerability. Have you done anything in this regard, and do you have any perspective on this?
I have colleagues who've looked at Obamacare implementation as well as some of the IT issues, in particular security around the systems with Obamacare. We have some outstanding recommendations on security. I personally have not done that. I will say, though, I did testify in front of this committee when there was the initial failure with the rollout. And I will say I worked closely with Mr. Milholland because at the time I was doing IRS work and I knew where they were at getting their systems ready for Obamacare, which was different than where HHS and some others were.
And so the housing of all this data and information, I guess I would, as a follow-up, Mr. Milholland at the IRS and certainly Mr. Pounder from the GAO, we would love to and request, if we can do this formally, if we need to do it formally, we'll do it formally, but we would appreciate a keen eye on this just because of the vulnerability, the sensitivity, and the sheer number of people that will be involved and engaged in this.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I want to switch gears here to the HHS, Health and Human Services. This is your first time testifying, and I appreciate that. How long have you been working IT at HHS?
So about a year and a half.
Year and a half, okay. The committee made a request. I thought it was a fairly benign request, and it gives us a perspective. We asked to identify the top 3 mission-critical IT systems in need of modernization. That seems like a simple request. Every other agency and department we asked for was willing to cooperate. The only one that wasn't was HHS. You claimed that it was classified information. It's not the Department of Defense. This is not the CIA. This is Health and Human Services. Why claim it's classified?
It's around the sensitivity of the information that is stored in the systems. As folks have mentioned today, some of my colleagues, information, especially around personal health information. It's one of the increasing threat vectors across the organization and in the public overall. And so we want to make sure that we're protecting the American public and the health information.
But you understand that that information that we're asking for is not classified, correct?
As an individual system, but there is concerns about what those systems are and the targets that we.
And you understand that the Oversight Committee can access classified information, correct?
Yes, and we are actually able to, we actually had members of the committee come over yesterday to our.
Why should the committee have to come to you? Why do we have to go to look at in-camera?
We are just concerned about what those systems are and putting
Yeah,
targets on them.
well, here's what you need to understand. We're entrusted with nuclear secrets, CIA information, a lot of very sensitive information. You cannot, as an agency, start to make up new classifications and new rules saying, well, we're sensitive and we don't trust Congress. We shouldn't have to go to HHS to review this information in camera. In fact, it gives us a real sense that you really don't know what you're doing over there.
No, we don't, these are not classified systems. We actually transmitted the information to OMB that requested as classified. These are not classified systems, and they do not have.
Correct. Yeah, you used a classified system to transmit it, but then when we request it, why do we have to ratchet this up? I mean, again, Health and Human Services has already identified one of the three systems to GAO, and another a system that HHS told us about was shut down. And we're just asking for the top-level review of what are the three mission-critical systems you provide. Then we finally get to see one, and then it's figured out that you had to come back to us and say, no, it was really shut down. Can you see where you've got a flashing red light over there at HHS that nobody else has?
Understood. And like I said, we are actually, we're willing to provide that information outside.
Okay, so just to be clear, and again, you strike me as an exceptionally nice person. You're going to provide the requests that we made by this committee, you're going to provide those to us, correct? And talk to you got a staff person there. Feel free to talk to them if you want to confer. But I need to know if we're going to get this information or not.
Yes, yes, you will.
Okay. I have some other questions, but let me recognize another member, and I'll come back on another round here. Let's recognize